Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the transit of Rahu from the sign of Pisces, and Rahu is going to move into Pisces sign on 30th of October 2023 and is going to remain here till 18th of May 2025. So this is a transit of almost 18 months, which is a good enough time to make some events happen in our life. But please remember that one planet cannot alone cause events, rather that it is a cumulative effect of all the planets in transition. Now, when we look at the significators of Rahu, Rahu represents illusion, foreign lands, foreign things. It represents all kinds of intoxications, drugs, medicines, fame, wealth, success, obsession, your karmas from the past life, movies, television, online world, cheating, gambling, imagined fears, unusual and unique things, creativity. But above all, it represents the intention to not follow any rules. And Rahu is also considered a rule breaker for the same reason. Rahu has the tendency to blow things out of proportion, and whenever Rahu gets associated with a planet, it blows up the significators of that particular planet. During this transit, Rahu is going to serve as an energy which is going to make us obsessively gravitate towards the things related to the house or sign where Rahu is going to transition in the next 18 months. Rahu in Pisces is an interesting transit because Pisces is the 12th and the last sign of zodiac, and it represents the same energy that is represented by the 12th house. So isolated places like jail, hospitals, foreign places, spirituality, imagination, outwardly experience. It also represents spirituality and the ability to be of service to others. So Pisces actually consists of the last two and a half constellations, which is Purva Bhadrapad, Uttar Bhadrapad, and Revati. And Pisces owner is Jupiter. We have to remember that whenever Rahu is going to transit through the Pisces sign, it is going to convert himself into the Lord of Pisces. So it is going to give results like Jupiter, and it is going to amplify all the qualities that Jupiter signifies. So Rahu is going to blow up all the things that are represented by Jupiter. An ideal placement for Rahu is to sit with an exalted planet, because then it takes all the qualities of the exalted planet and amplifies them. So it's always easier to interpret malefic planets because they seldom change their basic nature. They are supposed to bring difficulties in our lives where we are required to work very hard. And the end result is that after facing all those difficulties, we realize our true potential. So even if it's a Mars that is in an exalted position or Saturn which is exalted, they will make us work very hard towards our ambitions, and they would expect us to persevere. So simplest way to interpret any planetary position or transit is by looking at the nature of the sign through which that planet is transitioning, the constellation through which it is going, and the nature of the planet. So we need to combine Rahu's nature with the nature of Pisces, and Rahu always transits in a retro position. So we can say that Rahu is starting a new journey altogether by entering into the Pisces sign, which happens to be the final sign of the zodiac. So the first way to interpret this transit is that you go back to the memory that you had during the time when Rahu was last seen in Pisces, which was around 2005 and 6, and try to remember what all new things you started then. You are going to see a similar kind of events happening in your life now, and Pisces is a great sign for Rahu to be in because it's the only sign where Rahu gives some kind of a positive results, because it changes into Jupiter, and Jupiter is one planet where Rahu does not create a lot of nuisance due to the size of the planet. People will see their obsession with spirituality, creativity, and imagination during this transit, and they could also be on the quest for joining some kind of a spiritual or religious or an occult group, because Rahu is unconventional and Pisces is spirituality. So this transit can also bring a very weird or unusual approach to God or spirituality in people, and they could be seen as a people who have controversial opinions on certain religious matters. 12th house is also the energy of hidden matters. So people get obsessed towards the occult or mystical side of life, and they would also like to learn a lot about them because it is also a sign of creativity and imagination. So transit will be excellent for someone who wants to pursue or work on their creative talent. Similarly, people who are authors, creative content makers, or people who work in movies or television, they will also see a very good time. The drawback of Pisces sign is the illusion that it creates for an utopian world. If you see the sign of Pisces, they are two fishes biting on each other's tail. So it is considered that they are living in an utopian world. So Rahu also represents illusion. So that is where the similarity with the Pisces sign comes in. And Rahu has the ability to amplify things. So we can say that this transit can also come up with some kind of an extreme illusions or utopian dreams that an individual might experience. But this is an excellent sign for spirituality, no doubt about it. But we need to be extra careful before trusting a person, which is indicated by the house through which the Rahu is transitioning. Because wherever that house is falling, you will see some kind of a misunderstanding with the person which that house is indicating. So better use of transit like this is when we redirect our energy towards the spiritual activities and go towards yoga, meditation, and all the other kind of spiritual pursuits that you can think of. And if you happen to go to a guidance of a teacher during this transit, he may be a subject matter expert or any other kind of a teacher whom you would ideally like to have, then this transit can bring a lot of development for you in that particular area. Sometimes whenever Rahu is transitioning in your birth chart in the Pisces sign, things and people related to that particular house becomes a reason for your creativity. Now, who will feel the maximum impact of this kind of a transit? First of all, people who are going through Rahu's MD will feel the maximum impact of this transit. Then people who have Rahu in their AD or in PD in the next 1.5 years. The rest of the people will only see a partial impact of Rahu's movement. Now let us look at how Rahu's transition is going to impact each of the ascendant one by one. We will start with Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, Rahu will be in the 12th house of foreign land, spirituality and expenses. Both Rahu as well as 12th house represents foreign lands or probability of foreign travel. So this is going to be very high for you. All those people who are looking to immigrate will find this transition of Rahu to be very helpful to them. But at the same time, you need to restrict your habits of overspending. Otherwise, your expenses will shoot through the roof. It can also bring expenses related with health issues. So people who are elderly in age or senior citizens, they will start to experience health issues in during this transit, because Rahu going through the 12th house is not a great sign health wise. 12th house represents hospitals, so expenses related to health may shoot up. Rahu is also going to impact the fourth house through the fifth aspect and eighth house through its ninth aspect, and it is also himself sitting in the 12th house. So the triangle of 4, 8, and 12th, or the triangle of spirituality, is going to get activated during this transit. So a person who is inclined in spiritual matters or in mystical matters, they will benefit very highly from this transit. If you are inclined towards spirituality, then you will also gather a lot of information about the spiritual matters. So this Rahu has the ability to give you some weird or controversial spiritual views too. You are going to travel long distances for gains, but if you work with foreigners, then this transit also has the capability to bring you a lot of wealth and riches in the next 1.5 years. At the same time, you should also avoid habits, especially any kind of a intoxication like a liquor consumption or any kind of addiction to drugs. People with Rahu in the 12th house invite problems from outside in their lives. So something that is going smoothly, Rahu tends to distort that, and these people themselves create a situation where they get into a problem because of their own doing. So you should instead use this transit to pursue any kind of a imaginative and creative work. So in a nutshell, if I talk about the Aries ascendant, then they should avoid overspending, shun any kind of intoxication, and they should also not try to interfere in the private matters of other people. So that is how they should deal with this transit of Rahu. Coming to the Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, Rahu is going to be transitioning through the 11th house, and if you look at the placement of Rahu, this is the best placement that one can ask for in a birth chart. Rahu gets progressively better when it passes through the third house, sixth house, and 11th house, and it is strongest in the 11th house if we talk about a placement of a planet house wise. So it shows that you can have good gains during this time, and the best gains will be through a business setup. You can also get promotion in your job, and you can become very social or popular in your networking circles, and your social circle will have more people from the spiritual or the creative field. At the same time, saving money is going to be tough because Rahu at the end of the day remains a malefic planet and it cannot leave its basic tendencies. It can also indicate a person who has some kind of a utopia around money matters, and it may make them spend money a lot, thinking that they have a lot in store. Spiritual and creative job holders will see a lot of cash flow coming in during this transit. You can also see relocation. Rahu's transit from the 11th house would mean that you are going to have misunderstanding with your close friends or even with your elder siblings. Your higher education and knowledge will help you to bring gains, and you should also try to share your knowledge with people around you. Entrepreneurship, social networking, or elder siblings can also be the source of wealth for you. And there could also be a major instability with your mother. Rahu is going to aspect the third house through its fifth aspect, the seventh house through its ninth aspect, and it himself is sitting in the 11th house. So the triangle of desires is going to be activated for you, and it is up to you to figure out which of those desires are achievable during this transit. But you are definitely going to be a lot more ambitious during this transit of Rahu. Now coming to the Gemini ascendant. For Gemini ascendant, Rahu is going to be in the 10th house of career, which is another great position for Rahu to be in. For Gemini ascendant people, the good news is that Rahu is also the great friend of your ascendant Lord Mercury. So this kind of a transit of Rahu shows a rise in career, authority and recognition, because Rahu sitting here is going to expand the matters of the 10th house. At the same time, it can also bring some kind of an illusions in a career or relationship with the authority figures, problems with your father. Again, Rahu sitting in the 10th house is going to impact all the wealth houses because it is going to aspect the second house with the fifth aspect, sixth house with the ninth aspect, and it himself is sitting in the 10th house. So all the money generating houses 2, 6 and 10 are going to get activated. So the focus here is going to be firmly on your work. And at the same time, as I said earlier, the issues with authority figures at work will also prop up. You will be seen as a very ambitious person at work, and your source of wealth during this transit is definitely going to be your profession. Rahu also indicates illusion, so there can be some kind of a fraud or illusion involved with the 10th house related things. So if someone offers you a job in a new company, just do a lot of research at your end before you accept that offer. Otherwise, you may end up with a profile which was not promised to you. Now, depending on what kind of a MD or AD you are going through, the monetary gains and material pursuits are going to be activated related to those planets. But one thing is sure, that you are going to reap benefits through your profession during this transit of Rahu. So for Cancer ascendant people, Rahu is going to be in the ninth house of higher education, long distance and traveling. It shows that these people will be focused towards higher education and traveling related things. They can be inclined towards religion, spirituality and philosophical studies. So this transit can also bring the traveling to the various pilgrimages that you may be thinking about. And since this is Rahu, it is going to introduce some kind of a controversial thinking as far as the religion or spiritual views are concerned, or you will be seen as a controversial person by the peers around you. You can also experience issues with your teachers. So if you're a student, then you may see some kind of a misunderstanding with your teachers or professors. So you need to be careful about that. People will certainly be inclined towards higher education, and all those people who are trying to build or upskill at this point of time, they will also see a favorable time. Rahu's presence in the ninth house would mean that you will love to interact with people of different ethnicities, people who are located in the far distant land or through online mediums. So there could also be traveling related to your work during this transit. This is a good transit to learn new things and travel new places. You should be careful while you are traveling, and if you are going to drive, then it is better that you let someone else take control of the wheel. Rahu is going to aspect the first house through the fifth house through the ninth aspect, and it itself is going to be transitioned in the ninth house. So it means that the most auspicious triangle involving the houses first, fifth, and ninth is going to be activated during next 1.5 years. The best way to use this transit is to travel long distances, invest your time in self development, and learn new things that would lead to an upgrade in your overall skill set. So, this is how the Cancer Ascendant people should utilize this transit. Now, coming to the Leo Ascendant, for Leo Ascendant, Rahu is going to be transitioning through the 8th house of occult secrecy, major changes, and transformation. It shows that people of Leo Ascendant are going to gravitate towards occult and hidden side of the world, and that will bring them closer to spirituality. For some, this will be a time of total transformation where what they used to believe in will see a 180-degree turnaround. You would like to serve people with your research, work, business, and communications during this transit of Rahu, but you should be very careful against sudden events or accidents. So try not to drive during this transit of Rahu. Rahu's movement from the 8th house indicates that there is going to be a major change in your life in the next 1.5 years, and this change could be related with your overall life or relationship matters. Saturn is also going to be transition through your seventh house. So this is not going to be a good transit for relationship matters because both the seventh house as well as eighth house are going to be occupied by the two malefics. If you are a researcher or if you happen to deal with insurance, actuaries, or any kind of a technology related work, then this transit is going to be very beneficial for you. Rahu passing through this eighth house would mean that you may experience sudden jump in your career provided you are doing a profession that is related to the eighth house. Eighth house also indicates the wealth of your spouse and your in-laws. So you will experience some kind of issues with both your in-laws as well as any kind of a inheritance issue. The business and inheritance can be a source of wealth, but at the same time, there is a very high possibility that you will experience some kind of a cheating or fraud during this transit of Rahu, especially in things that are related with your business or inheritance. Eighth house indicates the kind of diseases that person can get, and all the diseases which happen below your waist. You need to be very careful about them. Whether you have a lower back pain or issues related to your private parts or diseases like piles or fistula, all of them have a probability of getting popped up during this point of time. You can also experience high sexual desires during this transit of Rahu, but your life is certainly going to see some kind of a transformation during this transit of Rahu. Again, Rahu is going to activate the fourth house and the 12th house through its ninth and fifth aspect. So the triangle of spirituality is going to be activated. But since Rahu itself is sitting in the eighth house, so this is a great time to pursue astrology, occult science, Reiki, or any other kind of that will involve you going through a lot of stuff to figure out the hidden things. Let us talk about Virgo ascendant. For the Virgo ascendant, Rahu is going to transition through the seventh house of spouse, business, and masses, which means that this transit will activate houses of business or the house of dealing with masses. So, people who are involved in the business that is related to telecom, public relations, press, or any kind of a communication related business, they will thrive during this transit of Rahu. You can feel some kind of a pull for getting into a relationship, and if your chart and the current MD/AD are permitting it, then you can also get into a relationship, especially with a person who does not belong to your ethnicity. So, a relationship with a foreigner or someone has an entirely alien caste or customs, you may get into a relationship with such people. The key here would be to focus on your business and improving your communication skills. Your business can become your best source of wealth during this transit. But as far as relationship matters are concerned, you should be very careful because some kind of an illusion will be introduced in your relationship with your spouse or with your partner. And if you find someone who lives in a foreign land to be your partner, then you will see all the benefic results of Rahu because Rahu itself indicates foreign people. So all those people who are vying for a love marriage, they will also see a favorable time during this transit of Rahu. This Rahu has the ability to give a lot of public fame, and politicians have a Rahu in the seventh house in their birth chart because this kind of a Rahu gives a manifold increase in fame, and since it is passing through the seventh house, this can also work out for you if you happen to be in an area that is related to public affairs. However, if you happen to get into a relationship with a person who comes from a similar background as yours, then the possibility of breakup is also there, because Rahu would like you to go into a relationship with someone who is not from your background or ethnicity. So be careful about that. Now let us talk about Libra Ascendant. For Libra Ascendant, Rahu is going to be in the sixth house of daily work or routine, disputes, litigations, and diseases. It shows that they are going to be focused and active towards following a daily routine, and their career is going to become important, because Rahu is again impacting all the career related houses, or also called as the wealth generation houses. So Rahu is sitting in the sixth house. It is going to aspect the 10th house as well as second house. So all the three houses 2, 6 and 10 are getting activated. Rahu is considered powerful in the sixth house. So the best position for Rahu is 11th house. Sixth would be the second best position. Rahu sitting here is going to destroy all your enemies and diseases, especially if it is well placed in your birth chart. So people who have Rahu in the bad dignity in their birth charts, they will need to be very cautious about the health matters, because this transit can bring some kind of a rare or unusual disease, or disease that will be hard to interpret. And the best way to approach such kind of a situation will be to go for a second diagnosis from another expert. Otherwise, you will end up with a wrong kind of a diagnosis and keep on taking medicines for diseases that you do not have. But Rahu here is going to give you victory over your enemies. Sixth house shows the enemies that are visible, and 12th house shows your hidden enemies. So Rahu here is going to destroy all your enemies during this transit. You will also experience a win in any kind of a litigation that you are facing, and this could also be a good time to take loan towards your own or for your children's education. Be very careful about the illusory power of Rahu in this house, because you may end up borrowing a lot of money in the form of unwanted debts. So you need to be cautious on these fronts and keep your expenses under check. Since the triangle of 2, 6 and 10th houses is getting activated, the overall focus for the Libra Ascendant people is going to be on the career related matters, and the money making thought is going to become a priority. At the workplace, you should try your level best to not to get into any conflicts or disputes, especially with people who have authority in your organization. Otherwise, it is going to backfire on you. But one thing is sure, that your workplace is going to be your source of wealth in the next 1.5 years. For Scorpion Ascendant, Rahu is going to be in the fifth house of creativity, education, happiness, and your progeny. It shows that your focus is going to be towards learning new things, educating yourself, and working on any kind of a creative pursuits. This is a very good position for people who are in advertising, or who are painters, sculptors, or writers. If your chart and MD is allowing, then you can also have a love relationship or a childbirth during this transit of Rahu. And childbirth can be through unusual or alternate ways. This, they need to be careful about falling in love at this point of time, because any kind of a love or romance related matter can lead to an illusion or cheating in such kind of a relationship. Overall, the focus will be on finding happiness through education and creativity. It is also possible that you will change your work and start a business in your education or creative pursuits and serve other people through it. This is a good time to gain new knowledge. If you want peace of mind during this transit, then it will come through education, creativity, and counseling others. People who are speculators, they need to be extremely cautious during this transit of Rahu, and student needs to be fully focused on their studies, because they are going to get distracted and alienated from the study due to this transit of Rahu in the fifth house. Rahu in the fifth house has the ability to affect the intelligence of a person, and all those people who may not follow a routine, they will try to pursue things that may not materialize at all at the end of this transit. And that is why I said earlier also, people who are in speculation, they should stay away from the market during this 1.5 year transit of Rahu, because it is very hard to deal with money related matters, especially when Rahu is transitioning through the fifth house. For Sagittarius ascendant, Rahu is going to be in the fourth house of home, property, and land, and focus will be towards dealing with the matters that are related to home environment, any kind of a property that you may have bought, and your relationship with your mother. You should be very careful about your mother's health in the next 1.5 years. There can be a journey from your home to some kind of a foreign land or vice versa. Rahu in the fourth house is not a very good position because it disturbs your peace of mind. Rahu will make you experience an uneasy domestic environment or an environment at your home that could be called weird, and you should not engage in any kind of a property dealing or buying land, because some kind of a cheating is going to take place with you, and that too from unexpected corner. I always advise people who still want to buy property during this transit of Rahu from their fourth house, which is to check all the documents thoroughly, show it to some kind of a real estate expert, make sure all the paperwork is in order, and only then go for purchasing a property. If you don't double check any documents and you end up signing during this transit, then it becomes a source of problem for you, whether it is vehicles, land, or property. All of the documents needs to be rigorously checked. The good news during this transit is that Rahu is passing through the sign of Pisces, so the nuisance tendency of Rahu gets reduced to a minimum. Having said so, Rahu is a malefic planet and it is obviously going to work on all the significators that it is going to indicate while passing through the fourth house. So, as I said earlier, be careful of your mother's health and your relationship with her, as well as not to buy any property during this transit of Rahu. You will see that you will experience a lot of peace when you are away from home, but the moment you enter your home in the next 1.5 years, some kind of a weird environment what you are going to experience. For Capricorn ascendant, Rahu is going to transition through the third house, which is the third best position for Rahu to be in after the 11th and 6th houses. Rahu in third house gives good results, and ascendant lord Saturn is also a good friend of Rahu. You will experience a very high inclination towards starting your business, and you will be extremely busy in the next 18 months. In during this transit of Rahu, you may start your own business. You will be very super active during these next 18 months. The situations may develop which may even force you to start your own business, and your business can also involve dealing with foreign people. You will be inclined towards learning new things and unique things, and your courage, willpower, ego will be on high during this transit of Rahu. Your relationship with your younger siblings will be very tricky and elusive, and Rahu always creates misunderstandings with the relations whenever it is passes through a certain house. So if it passes through say 11th house, misunderstandings with elder siblings will arrive. It will pass through 7th house, then misunderstandings with your spouse. Fifth house, misunderstandings with your kids. Similarly, third house would mean that misunderstandings with your younger siblings is going to take place. You will also experience some kind of a conflicts at your job setup, and you should be careful while you are driving or traveling and avoid high speeds. Business is going to be your focus area in the next 18 months, and you need to be very careful about the documents that you sign, especially in the business, because a high probability of cheating in your business is also going to be there. Someone may end up giving you documents which you sign without reading, and you may get into trouble because of that. If you have business that is related to knowledge gathering, spirituality, or any kind of work that involves creativity, then it is going to give you a lot of gains during this transit of Rahu. For Aquarius ascendant people, Rahu is going to be in the second house of wealth, family, and self-earned wealth. It shows that your focus is going to be completely on money related matters. Rahu in the second house can bring lot of wealth, but you need to be very careful against any illusion or cheating in the matter of wealth and assets. This transit can make you speak in an insincere manner or in a way that ends up hurting people who are near and dear to you. So be very careful about what you speak and watch out for your speech. There can be an expansion in your family, and your source of wealth during this transit of Rahu will be from foreign lands or through people who work in foreign countries. So if you are employed in an MNC, then this will become a source of wealth for you. During this transit of Rahu, all the money generating houses are getting activated. Rahu is himself sitting in the second house, and it is going to aspect the sixth house through the fifth aspect and 10th house through the ninth aspect. So the triangle of wealth 2, 6 and 10 is getting activated. It shows that you are going to derive a lot of wealth and happiness from your profession, and the priority is going to be earning money as well as your work and career. This transit is going to be very good for your career and wealth. If you have your own business, then this kind of a setup will be even more beneficial for you. The only thing that you need to remain cautious of during this transit is that you don't give away your wealth to people for investing. So, for example, some people give away their money to mutual fund managers, or some people who talk about asset management and wealth financial consultants. People end up giving a lot of money to them for investment. So this kind of stuff needs to be avoided during this transit of Rahu. It is better that you manage your own money rather than relying on someone else to invest that money on your behalf. But overall, this will turn out to be a good transit for you, provided you can manage your wealth on your own. For Pisces ascendant, Rahu is going to be in the first house of self, life path, and overall life. This transit is all about focusing on self for Pisces ascendant people. They should leave everything else aside and focus on themselves for the next 18 months. Pisces ascendant, anyways, is very close to spirituality. So, people who are already on the path of spirituality, they will experience great heights during the next 18 months. But people in general should work on themselves. You need to question what is it that you want in your life and accordingly prepare yourself in the next 18 months. So if you are willing to work on yourself and focus on what you want in your life, then next 18 months could serve as a platform for the great things to come for you. As I said earlier, if you are involved in spirituality, then you just need to continue with what you are doing in from the previous 3 4 years, because Rahu's association with Pisces is anyways very closely related to spirituality. This may also give you an opportunity to travel to foreign lands. In general, this transit will make you spiritual, imaginative, or creative, and it also means that you can be under immense illusion about your overall life. So Rahu here is going to create that fog which you need to clear through your imaginative thinking. Rahu is going to aspect the fifth and the ninth house. So the triangle of first, fifth, and ninth house is going to be activated, which is considered the most auspicious triangle in the entire chart. This also shows that they need to go for a higher education, or at least have some kind of an education which helps them in enhancing their skill set. So this is going to be a very good transit for a Pisces ascendant person, provided they are ready to invest time in themselves. This is the summary of how Rahu is going to give you results for all the ascendants. And if you have liked this video, I would request you to subscribe to my channel, and thank you very much for watching.